All right, welcome to the Anatomy Lab lecture in the Crushing the Preclinical Years free study course. So, first thing with the Anatomy Lab is you just got to go there, all right? This lecture is going to talk about, it's going to be a brief one, it's going to be talking about how to succeed in Anatomy Lab. And you'll find that most students don't go to lab after lab is over. So you have, a couple hours a day or whatever, 3 or 4 hours a week dedicated to anatomy lab, right, where you go in and the teachers walk you through the dissection, they check off your dissection, that kind of stuff. A lot of students surprisingly don't go to lab after this. They may not find it helpful or whatnot, but you have to go, right? You need to go because that's your test is based off of kind of the cadavers in the lab, and going there will force you to study it. Going there will help you learn it. So the nice thing about going to lab in the off hours is you have time to review yours and the other cadavers. Basically, the way that most anatomy labs are set up is that the students will dissect the cadavers, you'll go through, and then for test day, the professors will come through and they'll tag certain muscles, certain nerves on the cadavers, right? So you have the study tool, you have the cheat sheet right there in front of you. And if you go to lab and you look at your cadaver, you go through other cadavers, you quiz you and another student on these things, um, then you've already seen test day material, right? You already know what those structures are on the model, on the cadavers and on the models. Which brings me to another point. If there's a model room, go to it, right? Go use these resources. Go there in the off hours to see these things, because that's what most of your anatomy lab tests will be based off of. The things that are right there in front of you every single day. And a lot of students can't wait to get out of anatomy lab because it stinks, because it's a lot of work and that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, seriously, if you want to pass anatomy lab, if you want to learn anatomy well, go to anatomy lab in the off hours and learn those structures, right? Go through your cadaver, go through the other cadavers, go to the model room and learn that stuff. That's such a great place to do it. So when should you go to anatomy lab? I like to go when others aren't there, but as a introvert, that's my style. So, but one big reason why I like to go when others weren't there is because then it gave me more freedom to go to other cadavers. It gave me more freedom to look at other people's things, their cadavers, what they've been doing, what they're dissecting, their brachial plexus versus my cadaver's brachial plexus. An important thing is to go with a partner and quiz each other, right? So somebody in your lab group, go with them. Go through all the stuff that you guys were supposed to identify on your cadaver and go identify those on other cadavers. I liked going in on the weekends and early in the morning, right? So like on a Saturday morning, I'd go in at like 7:30 and nobody's going to be there, right? Nobody's going to do that. But if you're dedicated and you want to go learn it, then by all means, go in that early and do it. Go with somebody and quiz them and have them quiz you. So this is the last slide, but here are some great resources. UMISH, we talked about that in the last one. And then we talked about Netter's Atlas in the last anatomy class lecture. But the Color Atlas of Anatomy is a fantastic resource for lab. I would buy this one for lab, take it to lab, and I would leave the Netters at home. Netters is great for studying for class, but this is the best one for studying in lab. Take this, buy this copy, buy a hardcover copy, take it to lab with you. Color Atlas of Anatomy really breaks down real life cadavers and kind of identifies the structures on real life cadaver images. It's not drawn images like Netter's, it's real images, which is great for lab. And then a dissection kit, right? This is a link to a good dissection kit. Your school might require one. And then have your own scrubs and shoes dedicated to lab. Most anatomy labs have a locker room ring change, and that's great. I would leave them there because they will get super stinky. So really, these are the great resources. UMISH is fantastic. They have some good quiz videos in terms of identifying structures and whatnot. And then make sure you get the Color Atlas. So at the end of the day, get the Netter's Atlas, get the Color Atlas, have them both. Have the Netters for studying for anatomy class, and have the Color Atlas for studying anatomy lab stuff. That is a great method, and that's the method I use to do really well in both anatomy class and anatomy lab. But really, with anatomy lab, guys, just go to lab. It stinks, it takes time, but it is a fantastic way to learn, and it will help you in anatomy class as well if you do well in lab. So that's it. We'll see you in the next video.